So we won't hold you much longer. I'm John Gibson. As Danny said earlier, oh, thank you. I'm John Gibson, DLA Piper. I'm a partner at DLA Piper, a trial lawyer, co-chair of our U.S. business and commercial litigation practice. And Danny described earlier my role with the United Nations AI for Good Law Track platform. And so I'll borrow a line from Satish that I don't want to stand in between you and cocktails, but I noticed that we're not quite set up yet with cocktails, which gives me about 7 minutes, if you'll indulge me, to wrap this up a little bit further and talk about some of the things you and we can do going forward. So we're obviously at the beginning of a technological revolution. And all tech revolutions always make a change. But AI is different. Listen, AI enables us to work together to transform the world we currently have into the world that we all dream about. It's the world where we've cured the diseases and illnesses that ravage humanity. The world we dream about is a world where the learnings and the high standard of care at Stanford Hospital, for example, prevail throughout the whole world, from Appalachia to the Serengeti. The world we dream about is a world where we've ended poverty and hunger and achieved food security and improved nutrition and sustainable agriculture for everyone. Where we've democratized education and achieved gender equality and empowerment. A world where we have reduced inequality and discrimination within and among countries. A world where we've reversed climate change and other harm to terrestrial and marine ecosystems. Finally, a world where we have achieved peaceful and inclusive societies with access to justice for all. Those are not my thoughts, not just my dreams. Those are dreams taken from elements of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. And that's what we can do. Yet for all the extraordinary promise of AI, there are concerning risks and unwanted results, some of which were discussed by the various panels today. So how do we actualize the promise of AI and at the same time check or govern the risks? Well, Dr. Danny Toby, my law partner, framed it, I thought, very well. There are two pieces that we were going to talk about today, which we covered fully. One, law for AI, and two, AI for law. We heard important information and analysis today from our panelists about each of these issues. And so, very briefly, we first heard about responsible AI governance and use. And we heard from a member of the European Parliament who traveled all the way to be with us today here at Stanford regarding the EU AI Act and what that's all about, and the issue of testing for high-risk systems to ensure that systems respect fundamental rights, follow ethical standards, and prioritize safety, all while promoting innovation, which is quite a challenge. That panel talked about red teaming as another form of testing, and also talked about critical human thinking being a necessary part of using AI and analyzing those results. Also, the importance of data. Then we moved on to the panel, AI safety and risk mitigation. And there we talked about whether the thing to do is to update laws to apply to AI, update existing laws, And also we've got to figure out, I love this, how to understand whether interactions between AI agents create peanut butter and chocolate or an explosion. Very important to understand that and figure out how we determine that. And the government needs to work with industry. That panel talked about the fact that safety breeds innovation and the virtuous cycle between safety and innovation, as well as controls for customers on toxicity of content. And a need overall to balance incentives for innovation and adoption, and particular nations that may need access to US models and the concept of diffusion. The third panel was on AI and hiring and the future of work. There we talked about AI for HR compliance and how and when do we include, do we decide when to, how to create AI and how to use it. There was some discussion about talent identification and the lack of transparency or the concept of opacity there. And also human regulation of AI in employment decisions as being very critical. The next panel talked about standard sharing and international cooperation on AI governance. And there, I think all the panelists seem to be aligned that interoperability is critical, but there's a lot of questions. Who sets the standards? How do we represent the interest of all market participants and achieve, should we achieve a pluralistic mechanism in doing that? Some discussion about open source versus closed systems. Obviously no final conclusion on that yet, but very important issues. Some discussion about international coordination versus the important concept of national sovereignty, and the need for agile recalibration in that area and outside expertise so that as a check and balance on some of the companies that are innovating there, and to use AI to spotlight needed updates to existing laws. Finally, we had the last panel, which was outstanding, AI for social good and use cases. And in a word, I think we were regaled with some very important and interesting real life use cases that can help us all. I think the panel set the mood by letting us know that although the US is a leader in so many areas, access to justice is currently one where the US struggles to perform compared to some other nations. And AI is this remarkable tool that can help us bridge that gap and become a leader in that area, and other nations to become leaders and solve some of their problems. So look, I might be in my 7th minute, but give me one more. Everyone within the sound of my voice in this room and viewing remotely by video, all of us have the power to help transform the world from the world it is now into the one we dream about using AI. We'll succeed, as the panelists said, by working together. The UN, this conference sponsored by Stanford and DLA Piper, and the AI Law and Justice Institute, we're all working together toward the same goal: to make AI ready for the world and the world ready for AI. Listen, this simply means that we need to create some basic rules, erect appropriate guardrails, create global interoperability in ways that are fair and transparent, and then showcase, like we're doing today, how AI can scale and enable access to justice around the world. Won't you join us in our mission? Participate in the UN's AI for Good platform. Share your ideas with us and stay in touch. Help us create the world we all dream about. Thank you very much. And listen, thank you all for coming and for being here all day. I've seen the same folks from morning until now, and that is really something. It shows a commitment to this important topic and to making change in the world. Thank you, Stanford, for your participation, for your partnership. Thank you, DLA Piper, and thank you to the ITU and United Nations for this platform. I want to say that tomorrow, in addition to cocktails right now outside, tomorrow will be the Future Law Conference, and there's still room, so register online if you want to come to that tomorrow. Make sure you're registered in advance of getting here, register online, and have a wonderful time tomorrow as we continue discussions about the future world. Thank you so much.